Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning Series for Literacy. Today's lesson is for all our first graders out there, and any child who is interested is welcome to join us. My name is Katie Jensen, and I'm a reading interventionist and literacy coach at Stevens Elementary in Spokane Schools, and I will be your teacher for this lesson. I'm so glad you're here participating with me today. If you didn't see our previous lesson, you can find it on the KSPS website. You can still tune into today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others. Today, we will be learning about characters' perspective. And for today's lesson, you'll need a writing utensil and a piece of paper. I'll give you a moment to gather your supplies. Let's get started. We've read a lot of stories about gardens and the animals that like to go into those gardens. Sometimes the animals are welcome, but other times they're not. Bear welcomed Hare and his family into the garden at the beginning of Tops and Bottoms. But then after he got tricked and they took all the vegetables, they weren't welcome anymore. In Muncha Muncha Muncha, Mr. McGreely wanted to keep the bunnies out of his garden, so they wouldn't eat all of his vegetables. But by the end, he gave in and shared his carrots with his new bunny friends. In this story, Jasper, the rabbit, is taking carrots, a lot of carrots, that don't belong to him. Let's read to find out what happens and who keeps whom out of the carrot patch. Today's story is called Creepy Parrots. The words are by Aaron Reynolds and the pictures are by Peter Brown. Jasper Rabbit had a passion for carrots. When it says that he has a passion, it means that he cared about them very deeply. And the carrots that grew in Krakenhopper Field were the best. Fat, crisp, and free for the taking. When it says free for the taking, it means that these carrots were free. And I think that Jasper probably assumes they're free because they're in an open field. They're not in a garden. He pulled some for a morning snack on the way to school. He yanked out a few on his way to Little League practice. He ripped them from the ground on his way home at night. Jasper couldn't get enough carrots. Wow, you must really love carrots. Until they started following him. He first noticed something strange after the big game against East Valley Hares. Jasper was about to help himself to a victory snack when he heard it. The soft, sinister tunk, tunk, tunk of carrots creeping. When something is sinister, it doesn't mean it's good. It's kind of creepy and gives you that yucky feeling. So he feels that something sinister is watching him. He turned, but there was nothing there. Just my imagination, he thought. But he hopped a little faster. So he thinks that the carrots are following him? That night, as he was brushing his teeth, there they were. Jasper whipped around, but nothing. He laughed at himself, picked his toothbrush off the floor, and went to bed quickly. So is the orange that he's seeing really carrots? Look at that second picture. I see an orange shampoo bottle and a duck. We're going to learn a new word. This word that we're going to learn is called perspective. Perspective is how characters view the events in the story. So Jasper's perspective is that he sees creepy carrots. So his personal experiences shape how he sees the world around him. He feels that the carrots are following him, and so instead of seeing a duck and a shampoo bottle and a rag, he sees creepy carrots. That's his perspective. The next morning, he approached Krakenhopper Field slowly. Approached means he's coming up to it. He's coming up to those carrots. What word best describes how Jasper is feeling right now? Look at him in this picture as he's approaching the carrots. What do you think he's feeling? I think he's kind of nervous and a little frightened of these carrots. He reached for 2 wild carrots. Nothing happened. He bit into one. Nothing happened. Whew! Creepy carrots. It was ridiculous. But when he arrived home that evening, "Mom! Mom!" Jasper screamed. "Creepy carrots! In the shed!" His mom opened the door slowly. There weren't any carrots, not even the regular kind. "There are no such things as creepy carrots," Mom said, shaking her head. Now, if you pay close attention, you can look in the window of the shed, and I didn't see this the first time I read it. You have to look very carefully. Do you see in the window of the shed what Jasper sees? I see some creepy carrots. But what did they find when they opened the shed? Tools and paint, but no creepy carrots. I like how the illustrator or the person that did the drawings for the book really makes you pay attention to what Jasper is seeing. All the things that Jasper thought were creepy carrots have been made orange, and then all the other parts of the story are in black and white. So you really pay attention to what Jasper is seeing. Later that night, as Jasper lay in bed, he heard it. Breathing. Terrible, carroty breathing. And there, on his wall, "Creepy carrots!" he shouted. "Dad! Dad!" His dad thumped into his bedroom and threw on the light. Do you see the shadow on the wall? Is it a creepy carrot? Oh, it looks like it's a bucket with a toy inside of it. Have you ever been tricked by a shadow on your wall in your bedroom? I know I have. They searched under the bed. No creepy carrots. They looked through the closet. No creepy carrots. They opened the dresser drawers. No creepy carrots. "Just a bad dream, son," his dad said, shaking his head. "Now go to sleep." That wasn't going to happen. By the end of the week, Jasper was seeing creepy carrots everywhere. These pages really show us what Jasper's perspective is. Remember, his perspective is how he views the world around him. So he is seeing creepy carrots on the street, in the window, in the cemetery. He's seeing them everywhere. That's his view, his perspective. Jasper knew his parents were wrong. Creepy carrots were real, and they were coming for him. But they couldn't get him if they couldn't get out. Do you see the light bulb above Jasper's head? I think he's thought of an idea. Jasper hatched a plan. First thing on Saturday, he grabbed supplies and headed to Krakenhopper Field. Looks like we were right. When the author says hatched a plan, That means that he came up with an idea and is taking action. The pictures here really give us an idea of what Jasper is up to. Take a look. What do you think he's doing? It looks like he's plotting out something to build. He has a saw, some wood. Can you use these clues to infer or guess what his plan is? Let's look at the next page. Were you right? As the sun finally set across Krakenhopper Field, Jasper Rabbit smiled. On his way home, there was no tunk, tunk, tunk. There were no carrot-shaped shadows. His plan had worked. No creepy carrots would ever get out of that carrot patch again. And as the sun finally set, the carrots of Krakenhopper Field cheered. How are those carrots feeling now? Happy or sad? They look happy. When you cheer for something, you're usually happy and excited. Their creepy plan had worked. They were sure of it. Jasper Rabbit would never get into that carrot patch ever again. So who kept whom out of the carrot patch? That's right. The carrots kept Jasper out. Do you think Jasper Rabbit learned a lesson in this story? Do you remember how many carrots he was eating at the beginning? He was acting kind of greedy. That means he's only thinking of all the things that he wants, and he's taking a lot of it. He was eating a lot of those carrots, and they weren't even his. What challenges does Jasper face? We have two problems in our story. We have Jasper, who is scared of the carrots that are following him, and no one seems to help him. What would the other problem be? You're right. We don't realize it, but the carrots also have a problem. They don't like that Jasper keeps coming and eating all of them. How does Jasper solve the problem? You're right. He builds that giant fence and digs a trench with alligators in it so that the carrots can't get out. And then what about the carrots problem? How does that get solved? You're right. They scare Jasper into building this fence that really is keeping him out. Was Jasper imagining things? What do you think? Do you remember that big word, perspective? His perspective or view of the world changes throughout the story. At the beginning, he sees these carrots as delicious treats that he really enjoys. But then all of a sudden, he starts to wonder if they're following him, and he starts to see those creepy carrots everywhere. Once Jasper becomes frightened, his whole perspective of the world changes. For our activity today, we're going to help Jasper see what is real and what is his imagination. So we're going to look at what Jasper thinks he sees and what it really is. Can you think back in our story and think of something that he sees? I'm thinking of the first time that he sees the creepy carrots. They were in his bathroom. And what was it that he really saw? He saw that rubber ducky, shampoo, and rag, and that's really what it was. And his imagination seemed to be playing tricks on him because he was so frightened of the carrots. For today's activity, you are going to choose 3 events from our story. You'll show Jasper's perspective and what really was happening in the story. You can write or draw about these events. If you're choosing to draw, you could draw what's happening in Jasper's mind, what's his perspective, and then you're going to draw what really is happening. Our words here, Jasper thinks he sees, this. It is really this. You can draw this, or you can put this into a complete sentence. If I were using words, I would say, Jasper thinks he sees creepy carrots in the bathroom. It is really shampoo, rubber duck, and a rag. You can fill out a picture or an organizer like this, or you can write multiple sentences explaining what Jasper's perspective was and what it really was in the story. This page is available for you to use, but you don't need it in order to complete the activity. You can also write or draw 3 different events in the story showing what Jasper's perspective was. There is also a bonus activity with sequence cards. Each card shows an event in our story. If you have a printer, you can print this page out, cut out the pictures, and place them in order. If you don't have a printer, you can copy the pictures, cut them out on your own, and put them in order yourself. Once you've completed writing or drawing about Jasper's perspective during 3 events in our story, share it with someone in your home. Tell them about perspective. I bet you'll impress some of your family members when you tell them that word and that you know what it means. I've enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you for joining me as you keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson on KSPS.